So the N64 is my favourite console. It'll be my favourite console forever. It's not the best, it's not the biggest, it's not the brightest, but it was my first one. So it'll always have a very special place near and dear to my heart. So that's why I was excited when Analogue announced that they were doing the Analogue 64, which is going to be an upscaled version of the N64. It's going to have some upgraded features. It's going to let you use all your kind of original peripherals, all your original controllers, memory packs, all that stuff, and also let you use your original games. But this is Analogue we're talking about, so there's not going to be very many available, and there's probably going to be a shortage, and there's probably going to be scalpers. So you know what, I thought, screw that, I'm going to make my own, which is what I did. I made my own Analogue 64. So in this video I'm going to show you what I done, what I used, and that's basically it. Let's get stuck in. So the Analogue 64 is offering a lot of cool upgraded features. Like I said, it's got 4K HDMI out, it's going to have Bluetooth controllers, USB-C power, which is basically what we're going to do for a fraction of the price. I'm also going to throw in Bluetooth audio because I can and I want to, and it's going to be funny. So we're also going to give it a cool custom paint job, and I'm going to use one of these cool summer carts that recently go off of PCBWAY, who just happened to sponsor this video, but marry them in a second. So the first mod I'm going to do here is the PicoDVI HDMI output mod. So basically this is going to give us our HDMI out for the N64. Now for this mod you're going to need a Raspberry Pi Pico or some kind of Pico powered microcontroller board. You're going to need an HDMI breakout board, and you're going to need a few resistors. Now the thing with this is there's going to be loads of fine soldering, so I would recommend using loads of flux when it comes to soldering your wires to your video processing chip. But once they're in, it's just easy enough to wire it to your Raspberry Pi Pico and then to your HDMI output board, and it gives you this really crisp, clean image. Now again, it's not going to be 4K, it's not going to be anything massive, but for what this cost compared to what other mods cost and what the Analogue is going to cost, I think it's going to be a good choice. The Raspberry Pi Pico, the Pico board that I used was like a $5. The HDMI breakout board was like £3 if that, and then you buy tens, like packs of 10s of these resistors, no, packs of 100 of these resistors for like £2 off of AliExpress. So far I'm going to say that's about a tenner to do this. So we're going to test another couple of games here now to see how the PicoDVI handles these games. So while we're enjoying the gameplay here, I just want to say a quick thank you again to PCBWAY for sponsoring this video. Now, if you're a tinkerer like me, you're going to want to get in touch with PCBWAY. I'll throw links and everything down below. Most of the gameplay you're seeing here is captured using the Summer Car 64 that I recently ordered through PCBWAY. Once you place your order, you'll get this really cool real-time tracker that shows you the progress of your order. and you just need to sit back and wait for that glorious piece to come. So please think about visiting PCBWAY, link and everything down below. So the next thing we're adding here is going to be the Bluetooth controller. Now I did have a wee bit of problem with this with the board that I initially used. For some reason it was powering but just wasn't connecting. So I did end up then switching out for another board. So this is the ESP32 board. Again, I think I've done this in the past. I'll throw all the links down below on how to wire this up. But once it's all done, we're using the Nintendo Switch Online N64 controller, which is ideal for me, to be honest. And there's no lag, there's no issues with it connected really quickly. There's a reset button on it as well that we soldered in that basically lets you sync your controller as you go as well. So if we did end up using the Brawler controller, we can sync that up as well. And as well, it adds Bluetooth for player 2, 3 and 4. So more on that. I think I've done that in another video. I'll link that up there somewhere. And aye, there's zero lag. I'm delighted to have this in. This is just cool. And then this was just kind of done because I thought it was funny and it was cool and I wanted to see if it would work, and it did work. So this is adding Bluetooth audio to the N64. Why? Don't know. Does it need it? No really. Is it cool? I think so. So we're just soldering in this small audio transmitter board here that's going to let us connect either Bluetooth headphones or a Bluetooth speaker. Again, no necessary, but it's cool. So now we're going to add USB-C power. Now, I decided I wanted to keep the look of the original power brick, so what I've done is I used the 6-pin connector out the back of the power supply, and I'm going to use the shell also, and kind of keep it all enclosed in that. Again, I just want to kind of keep that shape. I'm going to use the original N64 shell, and I didn't want a big empty bit in the back, so I decided I'm going to use the power brick shell for that. Everything's powered up fine here. It's all running fine. Now, unfortunately, we kind of stress testing it later down the line. I found out that after like 10 minutes it kept cutting out, so I'm not sure if there's too much of a strain on the 3.3 volt line, because the 3.3 step down converter was getting very, very warm. So I think that was causing it to cut out. So I am going to look into that a bit more in the future, just to kind of see if there's other ways I can kind of wire stuff. But for this mod, it was just the 3.3 volt step down. It was the 6-pin connector that we used from the power supply, as well as the power delivery trigger board here that we set to 9 volts. And last but not least, we need to make this shell look all fancy pants. So I gave it a kind of cool grey look. I do like the kind of whiter Analogue 64 look. So again, we've sprayed the feet, we've sprayed all the buttons, we've sprayed the expansion pack cover, we've sprayed the enclosure for the power supply, and now it's just a case of dropping everything in. Now I know there's going to be people out there cringing at the setup, but again, I just wanted to kind of get everything wired, stuck to the board safely, so I knew it wasn't going to randomly break when I was moving stuff. But again, the final version, all this is kind of tidied up a bit. And here we have the final product of all our labour. Now, as you can see, it's pretty cool. Oh, I painted the controller ports as well. They're just black because I was kind of trying to go for the original NES kind of colour scheme as well. But again, that didn't work. So it's just this kind of grey with white on it, and then grey with black on it. It does kind of give it that two-tone. It does kind of give it that two-tone look. Yeah, I'm happy. So everything's painted, it's all cool. It's expansion pack ready and all that good stuff. That's the USB-C power. So like I said, I was having kind of issues with this overheating. I don't know if it's because there's too much of a draw on the 3-volt line, but again, it's something I'm going to look into. You can kind of see there where it kind of melted. See that square? That's where it kind of was swelling, I think, against the inside of there. I'm using the original power supply as well, so there's been zero issues with that. All the footage I've captured, I've been using this. I think it was just after so long it being on, it just started acting up and kept disconnecting. So I'm going to look into it. It might be a simple fix, but I'm going to look into it even more further down the line. But I am happy with how this turned out so far. We've got the cool Summer Kart 64 here as well. This is the one for PCBWAY, and the shell is the one I actually got for Phenom Mods, which is in the other video. So that's really it just now, guys. There's nothing else to really go over. I've got the buttons there to sync the controller, which is there. I've got the button to sync the headphones, which is there. So I tried to keep them kind of all like low profile. I moved the USB-C port here as well because I didn't like it being up here, and then it kind of keeps them separated. I don't know if you really need to, but it was just I just liked it better, and it was easy enough to kind of just make the wee hole there. And actually, I think it sits better in there as well. The wee power delivery unit that we used actually sits a bit more secure in there. But the good thing about these is the fact I can use this with any other N64 then, so it doesn't have to be just primarily for this one. I can use this then in any of my N64s. So if I'm testing just standard ones, if I want to use my originally modified ETIM one, I can use that one. That's all I'm really going to say just now, guys. There's no whole pile else to say. Thank you again to PCBWAY for sponsoring the video. If you build your own or have any questions, please join the Discord. Please like, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And see you next one. Bye for now.